What is going on, everybody? Jonathan here with Gig Nation. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at Postmates and their upcoming IPO, which recently got pushed back. So is this a sign of doom and gloom in the stock market? Is this bad for the gig economy? What exactly does it mean? We're going to break all of that down in today's video. But make sure before we dive into this that you take a look at the Facebook group, because we talk about all of this stuff and more in the group. So make sure you're caught up on that. I'll leave a link down below so that you can go ahead and join that. So I'm pulling up an article here from Vox.com, and it discusses the Postmates IPO, how it was supposed to debut in 2019, and it's getting pushed back. It now looks like we're going to see this IPO sometime potentially in the first half of 2020. So why did this happen? Well, recently we've seen some kind of ugly IPOs in the tech industry concentrated in Silicon Valley. Now, two of those are Lyft and Uber. Lyft has seen their share price almost cut in half in a 50% decline since their IPO, and Uber, not too far behind, has seen a 25% loss. And we also saw another terrible almost debut in the IPO market with WeWork, who actually pulled out of their IPO completely when investors saw the price tag and it just looked way too expensive. So what does this mean for the gig economy? What does it mean for Silicon Valley? What does it mean for everyone? Well, according to the CEO of Postmates, they just don't like how the market looks right now. The macroeconomics of everything isn't really pointing in favor of any IPOs, and he's definitely right. IPOs haven't been performing that well lately. The ones that have performed well are mostly just software companies that are already profitable, but we're not seeing these big tech startups that aren't profitable like Lyft, Uber, and those, to name a few. We're not seeing them do really well, and investors are really looking for stuff that's already profitable. They don't want to take as much risk. And so we've really seen the mood shift here, and a major shift in investor appetite for risk, because just a few years ago, everyone wanted to be in on these gig economy tech companies. Uber was like the next biggest thing, and it had been compared to the likes of like Facebook, maybe Amazon, other companies that in the past had been unprofitable for a very long period of time, but they still got a ton of investor attention. Stock prices did tremendous, and eventually these companies became profitable. But people are now looking at the gig economy with the struggles to become profitable and all of the obstacles that continue in the way. AB5 in California, making contractors employees, just one of the major obstacles, to name a few. And they're looking at these companies and they don't really want to invest. They're not as excited about them as they once were. And so what does this mean for Postmates? Well, it means for Postmates that they have to continue to grow. I mean, if they're not all too profitable to date, then how exactly are they going to attract investors? How exactly do they get that comparison to like a Facebook or an Amazon unless they continue to grow and build out their platform and find new ways to grow? Now, there definitely are some interesting opportunities, as we looked at yesterday in a video that I released about DoorDash kitchens. It looks like DoorDash is really putting down some brick and mortar stores where they're basically going to be having multiple restaurant partners in one building and just streamlining that entire process of making food. And this could really change the restaurant industry as a whole. And so when you look at this new perspective on DoorDash, does it make them more valuable in an investor's eyes? Maybe. We don't really know yet. It definitely could be. It definitely makes the pie larger, and it's kind of a new market for them to break into. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of this from Postmates too. At least that's probably the strategy that they're going to have, because the reality is that the macroeconomics aren't really terrible. I mean, a lot of this is internal issues. If you're not a profitable company, then you can't expect to have an awesome IPO anymore. It's just not necessarily going to happen that way for you. Now, obviously, Postmates, their CEO, is going to blame this on the macroeconomics, but there's really a lot of internal stuff that does need to happen. And so it'll really be interesting to see how this shakes out, how long Postmates delays for, and how other companies approach the IPO market. DoorDash hasn't actually IPO'd, and they haven't really, made any true plans to. There's been talk of 2020, but, we could even see them push back a little bit further. And the entire market seems to be changing in Silicon Valley. The Vox article actually goes into a little bit more detail about a meeting that took place about a week ago between hundreds of Silicon Valley founders and CEOs essentially looking for a new way to approach listing their stocks instead of, going through the IPO market, because it has been doing so terribly that all of these companies are kind of scared to approach via that angle. So we're really seeing a ton of change here, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. So let me know what you think. Do you think Postmates is going to IPO in the first half of next year, or will they push it back? And would you invest in this company after seeing how poorly Uber and Lyft have performed since their IPOs? Also, do you think this is an issue with the overall market, or are we seeing a lot of these issues based on the fact that companies just aren't profitable and that the gig economy in and of itself is having some major issues? I'd love to hear from you, so leave a comment down below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're looking for other gig economy jobs, maybe you want to see reviews of other types of gig economy jobs or just tutorials, make sure to check out my new website, gigsharks.com, because it covers all of that and I've been working really hard on it, so I'd love for you to check it out.